Week 18 is a crazy time for fantasy football. You don't know who's gonna play or how long they're gonna play. Normally you can just expect players to give it their all, but not in week 18. There are other motivations, such as staying healthy for the postseason or checking out the backups, see how they're gonna do. Well, this leaves a lot of people up in the air. So normally I do a love and hate, and it's really this week a love, sleeper, and players with incentives. So quarterbacks I love and a sleeper. CJ Stroud, love him this week. Going up against the Colts, so you know he's gonna give it his all. They gotta win this game to make it to the playoffs. I think the kid has a nice showing. Has not been dominant as of recently, but I think he bounces back. Next up, Justin Fields. He's been balling recently, and I think that continues. He is fighting for his job going up against the Green Bay Packers. Definitely think he's gonna have a fine day. My man's gotta show out to either keep his job or get a nice new one. For a sleeper, I like Tyrod Taylor. Going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles defense is trash, and Tyrod Taylor can use his legs. I think it'd be a solid start if you're desperate. Wide receivers I love, and some sleepers. Nico Collins, going up against the Colts in a must-win game. Gotta start him. I think him and CJ Stroud have a nice connection, and that will continue in a must-win to get into the playoffs, baby. I love DJ Moore, going up against the Green Bay Packers. Packers have allowed the 6th most points to the wide receiver position in the last 5 weeks. In a game the Bears will definitely be trying to win. They can keep the Packers out of the playoffs. Oh, they would love that. I love DeAndre Hopkins this week because he has some incredible incentives. He can make $1.5 million getting 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 49 yards. I don't know about the 2 touchdowns, but the 49 yards and the 7 receptions, he will be getting done. I got a feeling he's going to be going for all of it. Fire up your D-Hop. People sleeping on Darius Slayton. 3 games in a row with double-digit fantasy points. Going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a bad secondary. Allowing the 5th most points to the wide receiver position in the last 5 weeks. 2nd most on the year. Yes, please. All that stays the same for his teammate Wan'Dale Robinson. Going up against the same bad Philadelphia defense. Think you can fire him up if you're desperate. And for an even deeper sleeper, Julio Jones. With Devonta Smith getting banged up, there's a chance he gets some more targets. Now, honestly, this is a pure shot in the dark, meaning if you have nobody else, the waiver wire is bare. There is a 5% chance that Julio Jones will get into the end zone. So you're saying there's a chance. Running backs I love, and some sleepers. James Conner has been on fire for his last 4 weeks. Scoring a touchdown in each game. 2 games, he scored 2 touchdowns. He has been balling out. Gotta start him up against Seattle, who is bad against the running back position. I like the guy on the other side of the field as well. Kenneth Walker going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Same game. Cardinals are not good against the running back position. Kenneth Walker should feast. Next up, Zamir White. Assuming that Josh Jacobs doesn't play again, Zamir White is going to be that dude. Fire him up if you need a running back. If Josh Jacobs doesn't play. Some sleepers that I like, which I don't even know if we can still call Herbert a sleeper. As long as Deonta Foreman is out, Herbert's that dude. Fire him up. If Alvin Kamara doesn't play, Jamal Williams is going to do work. If Kamara does play, obviously you don't play Jamal Williams. It's still up in the air whether or not Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford will be out in the Browns game. But if that happens, Pierre Strong is going to get some extra touches. And I think you could do worse than that. Week 18, desperate times calls for desperate measures. And lastly, Jordan Mason. Originally, I thought Elijah Mitchell was going to be the running back you wanted for San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey sitting out. But Elijah Mitchell came down with an illness earlier this week. So it's a little bit up in the air. I would grab both Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason. If Elijah Mitchell sits, Jordan Madison is going to get that work. You basically want whoever is starting on the San Francisco 49ers, whether that's Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason. Right now, it looks like they're leaning Mason, but the team likes Mitchell. So I grab both. Tight ends I love, and a sleeper. Dallas Goedert. Giants have allowed the most points to the tight end position for the last 5 weeks. And with Devonta Smith going down, the team will be leaning on Dallas a little bit more than they normally do. Next up, Dalton Schultz. Not only does he have some incentives, but Houston is struggling at pass catchers. And this is a must-win game against the Indianapolis Colts. I think he's going to be utilized. And for a sleeper, you know I got to go with Juwan Johnson. My man has had a touchdown in 3 straight games. New Orleans Saints are in a must-win game against the Atlanta Falcons. If you're desperate, Juwan Johnson is a great start. He is questionable though, so monitor that. Defenses I love in week 18. The New York Jets. going up against the New England Patriots. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and the Jets are a good defense. They aren't playing for anything except for pride. And possibly Bill Belichick's last game as a Patriot. I'm sure the Jets want to win. They want to shut him out, which is why I also like the Patriots going up against the Jets. Jets don't have a good offense. New England's defense is good, and I cannot remember the last time Bill Belichick lost to the New York Jets. So why would I think it's going to start now? Fire up your Patriots defense. Jaguars played great last week. I think they played pretty well this week as well, going up against the Tennessee Titans in a must-win game. Tennessee Titans have allowed the most points to the defense in the last 5 weeks. They can fire them up. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last week, the Jaguars got to play the Panthers. This week, the Bucs play the Panthers. And I keep telling y'all, follow the bad teams. Who's ever playing the Panthers, start them on defense. Bucs, it's your turn. In week 18, you gotta look out for players with incentives, because those players are extra motivated to get something done, whether that be win a game, throw for a certain amount of yards, rush for yards, receive for yards, touchdowns. There are a lot of ways that these players get paid extra, and these are the players you should be looking out for. Shout out to the New York Post. If Baker Mayfield makes the playoffs, he gets $1 million. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple other incentives like completion percentage, being top 5, top 10 or something like that. Baker can earn up to like $3 million. Looking at you, Baker. I'm looking for a dub this week, buddy. Start with making the playoffs. Another one that affects fantasy football, DeAndre Hopkins. With 7 receptions, he gets $250,000. 2 touchdowns, another $250,000. And if he only gets 49 yards, he gets $1 million. Texans have some incentives as well. Dalton Schultz with 6 receptions, he gets $250K. With 107 yards, he gets $250K. That's $500,000 total. On the same team, Devin Singletary. Looks like he needs to stay on the field because he has offensive snap incentives, but the one I'm looking at is 165 rushing yards or more. I believe he has an additional incentive that's not on here that's rushing and receiving, and that's way more reasonable, something like 75 yards. I'll look into that. Darius Slayton gets $2.5 million just for getting a catch in this game. You know that's gonna happen. Geno Smith gets $2 million for making the playoffs. That'd be nice. Kua doesn't get an incentive, but he is only 29 yards away from getting the rookie receiving record. I think they get it for him. And it's not a record, but I'm pretty sure Travis Kelce is really close to getting 1,000 yards. Something like 16 yards he needs. I think he's gonna get those 16 yards and get on out of there. You're not trying to have your star tight end get hurt. That's gonna do it for my week 18 loves and sleepers. If you're still playing fantasy football in week 18, I am sorry for you. I really am. It's a terrible time to play fantasy football. Everything's undecided. You have no idea who's gonna play or how long they're gonna play. I wish you luck, and don't worry, I'm going anywhere. I got a lot of things to talk to you about. It's been an interesting season, but the fantasy football offseason should still be pretty good. Plus, we got playoff football coming up, and I'm gonna dive into some numbers. See how well these players actually did this year. So that's gonna do it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. If you have any questions, hit me up. Good luck in your matchups, and I'm sorry you're playing in week 18. Talk to your commissioners about not playing in week 18. This is ridiculous. Peace.